This stuff is gonna come out puffy, shiny. It's great for lettering, it's great for transfers, it's great for just your base flooding, because who doesn't want a cookie that looks amazing on the base? You gotta have an amazing base to build up to the top and put all those beautiful details on. Hey guys, welcome to the Royal Icing mini course. This video is going to teach you everything that you need to know about making the perfect batch of royal icing. Little disclaimer here, I know when videos start off with disclaimers it's such a drag. There are a bajillion things that can affect your royal icing positively or negatively. The recipe and the instructions that I'm here to give you today are ones that work for me in my environment. What do I mean by my environment? First and foremost, I live in the Northeast. We have very humid summers and very dry winters. In the spring and the fall, we transition between the two and sometimes get a late summer or a late winter, an early winter, or an early summer. Your environment is going to affect this. The things that I strongly recommend to prevent the environment from doing any more damage or messing with your beautiful creations any more than it has to, I suppose is the right word for that, is to get a dehydrator and to work quickly. I am developing an entire royal icing masterclass where I will also go over dehydrators and how to use them for all of these beautiful designs that you can make with royal icing. So keep an eye out for that. If there's something that you specifically struggle with royal icing, please comment it below so I can make sure to address it in the course or just answer a question for you if it's something that I think I can fix quickly. Another thing I can offer you in the meantime though is I do have a post all about dehydrators. It is a bit of a post, you guys, but it goes over everything. What dehydrator I have, how I use it, things to look out for in dehydrators. So if a dehydrator is something you don't have and you're looking into getting, I strongly recommend reading that. I will link it below on my website, royalcookiesllc.com. I do have a blog there where I'm going to teach you a whole bunch of other things about baking. Right now, we're just gonna focus on royal icing. Sorry for the long intro, y'all. Let's get going. Alrighty, you guys. So first thing I want you to do is I want you to make sure that your bowl is 1000% clean. What do I mean by this? I don't want there to be any specks of anything in there. I don't want dust. I want it to be perfectly freshly cleaned, and for everything good in this world, please make sure there is no grease, because grease is what causes royal icing to separate and gives you lots of issues. So we're gonna start off with a super clean bowl, okay? The very first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna get our sifter. We're gonna put it over our bowl and we're gonna sift our powdered sugar straight into the bowl. So I am using a 2-pound bag of powdered sugar. Just gonna cut the top off of it. I always kind of shake the sugar down so that when you open the bag, it doesn't like floof all over you. The other thing that you're gonna need for this is a spatula. I like to use a spatula that's essentially shaped like this, but a smaller one, just because it's a lot easier to use when you're sifting your powdered sugar into your bowl. So I'm just gonna sift that entire thing into this bowl here. This little thing where you like tap the side of the sifter as well, if that's easier for you. I don't know why I always do this at the end, but you can do either one that works for you. I just find that kind of smashing it into the sifter works best for me. In my recipe, it uses 3 tablespoons of meringue powder. I should have kept that sifter, but I decided to put it in the sink, and my sink is wet. And we all know how royal icing and powders react with wet stuff. So I'm gonna use a different sifter, but you don't have to. You can even put it into your sifter with your powdered sugar, but you're gonna sift 3 tablespoons of meringue powder into your royal icing. Now, I will scoop my royal icing out of the bin. This is not actually Wilton's. I know this is Wilton's container, but this is actually Genie's Dream meringue powder. I have been using it since Wilton stopped selling it for whatever reason, and I love it. I have not had any issues with it. I know there are people out there that have, and I have to question what their method for making royal icing is. Not judging here, just saying that maybe there's a method that works better. So I'm gonna scoop out my first tablespoon, and I just wanna show you, I go through all the details, you guys. Get a knife with like a really flat back to it, and you're gonna basically just use this flat back to scrape off of the excess on your tablespoon. And I'm gonna do that obviously 2 more times to make 3 tablespoons. And this stuff is so much finer than sugar, you guys. It literally just, look at that. But see here? See all those little granules that we got going on? Like, we don't want that in our icing, you guys. That's gonna cause so many issues. So this is literally why we're sifting it. Now, some people throw this stuff out, but you can just help it along in there. It's fine. All right, so I have my stand mixer here. I've talked about this before in other videos, but I strongly recommend using the metal, stainless, aluminum, whatever metal it is, but the bare metal paddle mixers for this. I find that the white ones with enamel on them, the enamel starts to rub off right here, and the only place that that's going is in your food. And I mean, if you want to make that stuff for your family, I mean, that's on you, but I am certainly not serving customers that. So I'm gonna lock this, and I'm gonna try my best to kind of show you the consistency factor. Before we start mixing, I want to talk a little bit about the corn syrup and the water factor. So there's a whole big thing about when to add what. A lot of people use the water, I think the cornstarch, their emulsification, and their meringue powder, and they make like a frothy mixture, and then they put their powdered sugar in. When I did that, even with the Genie's Dream, it gave me ridiculous amounts of color bleed, and it dried really matte, even though I use it in the dehydrator. So I understand that how you mix this stuff is important. But I'm gonna show you the way I mix it, and we're gonna go from there, because like I said, I really don't have issues with my royal icing. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to get 2/3 of a cup of water. Now, I know this is nitpicky, you guys. I don't know if I can show you this very well on the screen, but I am not using a full cup. So this is 2/3 of a cup, but I am not going to the top. I'm probably like 2 to 4 millimeters below the fill line on that. And then our corn syrup here, I'm using 1/4 of a cup, but we are actually going to fill it until it's like bubbling almost over the edge. So you really just want that like surface tension of the corn syrup to keep it together for you. And this one is almost out, so let me get another one. All right, so the way that I do this is I typically will start with the corn syrup like right up to the edge, because it's gonna sit here for just a second, and I don't really want corn syrup all over my counter. Sit tight with that for a minute, okay? And I'm even gonna leave my bottle open. So I pretty much have all this situated. The only other thing that I need is my emulsification. I use Loran, however you say it. A lot of people use this stuff. It's fantastic. The only thing I would let you know about this is I guess sometimes they use oil in their emulsifications. I use the butter flavor, as you can see, and I love this stuff. There is no oil in the ingredients on this either, so we're good. I've never had an issue with this. But we're only going to use 1 tablespoon. I find that that's plenty. Your icing is going to be really sweet no matter what, because we put 2 pounds of sugar in there, you guys. So this just kind of elevates the flavor. So this is gonna be a juggling act. Just be with me, okay? I'm gonna turn my mixer on just to the first speed. I'm gonna throw my emulsification in there. And then this is kind of one of the tricky parts, you guys. So my royal icing, you can't really, I'm sorry, my corn syrup, you can't really see. It doesn't have any like surface tension on it. So I am literally just gonna add just a touch. So it's just over that. We're gonna put it in. and it's gonna start to mix together. So this is where we kind of have to go kind of quick. I'm just gonna add in the rest of this corn syrup. I got it all over my mixer, you guys. And then I'm going to add in the water, but I'm not gonna add it all in at once. I'm going to save just a little bit. And then I'm gonna crank this up to speed 2, just to get it all incorporated. Alright, so we have this like pasty thing going on here. Can you see that? So I'm gonna add a little bit more water. I'm just gonna let that incorporate. And before I go any further, I don't normally do this, but I just want you to kind of see this icing. It's just dripping right now. It's not super, super white. I can still kind of see the color of the corn syrup a little bit. So what we're gonna do, now that this is all incorporated, is I'm gonna take my spatula and I'm just gonna run it around the top, because the top is what I find, at least on my mixer, is where a lot of the powdered sugar just kind of like cakes to the side. Scrape that off as best we can. And now we're gonna go turbo on this thing. Lock it in, turn it up on high for 5 minutes. And I'm gonna leave it here so you can watch how it changes. guys, it's been 3 minutes and I'm in love with the way that this icing looks. In keeping you up with the close-up, this is what my royal icing looks like when I am done with it. So as you can see, we have a soft peak here. And just like, look at how pretty that is, you guys. Okay, enough of that. We gotta get to packaging this bad boy. All right, so I have my container here. I have my royal icing. And the very first thing I'm gonna do is clean off our beater here. Gosh, this royal icing is so pretty, you guys. I can't even right now. Like, every time I make this, and you know I'll make a lot of it. Every time I make this, I'm just like, wow, I can't believe like where I started versus where I am now. Because my first batches of royal icing, and you can see my first cookies on my blog too. If you're interested or if you're feeling down and you need a pick-me-up to really see how good you are, go look at my first cookies, you guys. But every time I make this royal icing recipe now, I think back to it and I'm just like, wow, I made a glaze. This is royal icing. So I always scrape my bowl down in the same way. So I get the top first so that I can pour it. And I'm not gonna be able to show you pouring it, obviously, because I have to turn the bowl away from you, but you know what pouring stuff into a bowl looks like. But here's like a really good example of the consistency. Like, look at this. Like, I just dumped that into the bowl. It's really not moving. Like, it does when I shake it, but it's really not moving. This is what you want. This is also like the perfect consistency for making flours as transfers if you want. I might even go a little bit thicker. Like, if I was like, I need to make a whole bunch of flours out of royal icing, I would have probably not put that little scotch of water in that I added. I probably would have just left it to be like really, really thick. The other thing that you can do if you're trying to get like a really stiff design on top of a cookie or as a transfer, you can also play around with how much meringue powder you use. But keep in mind, the meringue powder is actually kind of the stabilizer with this. So for instance, I did a gingerbread contest this past Christmas and I had some pieces on my piece that were really tall and they were kind of heavy. So I needed like industrial style royal icing to hold them up. So I used like 6 tablespoons of meringue powder and less water than I even did here. So I would say if I took like 4 to 6 tablespoons, that might be a bit much. Maybe 2 to 4 tablespoons out of my 2/3 cup of water. That's what I used for like a construction grade, if you will, royal icing, because that's what they call the gingerbread, is construction grade. I'm going to get my plastic wrap and I'm going to put it over the whole thing at first, right? So you can see I have like way too much here. That's good. So you're gonna start out like that. It's not gonna be touching the icing at all. And then you're gonna gently lift, because it's sticking to the side of the bowl, and then press down to the surface of your royal icing. And once you started doing that, I cut it. You can do it before, because like after a while, if you're like me and you've made 8 billion batches of royal icing, you kind of like get how much you need and how, depending on like what container you use. But you're gonna wanna kind of cinch it down to all the sides and the corners. You don't want any air bubbles in there. Is it gonna make or break your icing? No, but we don't wanna invite any issues. And these small bubbles on top, that's fine. That's not gonna cause any issues. If you have a ton of excess, like I kind of have more than I'm comfortable with, just because I'm clumsy, you guys, and I will like pull this thing and fling it off of the counter by accident. I'm gonna cut the excess, fold it down on the sides, and put the cover on it. Now, I am a licensed home-based bakery, so I actually add an ingredient number for all of my batches of royal icing. So I'm just gonna mark that real quick, and that is our royal icing. Okay, you guys, so now you have what I consider to be the best royal icing batch ever. Again, this stuff is gonna come out puffy, shiny. It's great for lettering, it's great for transfers, it's great for just your base flooding. If you have any questions or comments, please put them below, and don't forget to check out my blog and keep an eye out for the Royal Icing Masterclass that I'm working on right now. I do not have a release date for you right now. I think it'll probably take me a while to make just because there's so much for me to teach you about royal icing. But if you do want a direct notification sent to your inbox when it's out, please sign up for my free email subscription on my website. You can either go to the link below or you can literally scroll to the bottom of any page on there and it'll be there for you to sign up. No spam, I promise, but I will let you know as soon as this has a release date. And if you're part of that email list, you might get a little bit of a surprise. We'll see, I don't know. But when you subscribe to my email list, you also get this recipe for free, as well as obviously this video. So have at it. Happy baking, y'all.